Welcome to Frictionless Commerce, the show for distribution and manufacturing leaders who need digital commerce to deliver on its promise. I'm your host, Matt Johnson, and in each episode, we go behind the walls into the data, the systems, and processes that drive success. No silver bullets, no hype. I'm here to bring clarity to digital leaders about how transformation works across the supply chain. In today's episode, I'm going to talk through some of the main reasons I see B2B e-commerce initiatives fail and what we can do about it. Most leaders think it's a website problem, but spoiler alert, it's not. If you're ready to grow, let's go. Guys, welcome back. I'm excited to go through this episode because it's something that is sort of a passion project for me, and that is cracking the nut on why B2B e-commerce adoption and e-commerce sales as a percentage of revenue for most distributors and manufacturers still is in the single digits and what we can do about it. So a lot of leaders think about this in terms of a technology or a resource problem. And while it is certainly true that legacy systems and bad processes and lack of internal resources play a huge role, the real problem that I see really in all revenue commercial operations inside of this industry comes back to the catalog. It could be the way that we're pricing, right? It could be inventory. It could be product selection, fit. And so the real problem almost always is the catalog itself. If the catalog is weak, everything downstream suffers. Customers can't find the products, product pages seem unreliable, website traffic stalls, customer adoption never gets off the ground, and your sales teams can't trust the platform. These are all issues that kind of compile together to make e-commerce projects really not just disappointing, but a huge waste of resources and investment that never seems to see the return that is promised. And this is a big problem, right? Because you don't want your catalog to actually work against you. Your catalog should be a growth driver. It should be one of, if not the most important tool in your commercial belt. But when the catalog is bad, if the data on the website is bad, can actually have a negative impact on both your customer service and sales teams, but also your customer's perception of your brand. And this is a big problem, right? Because if a customer goes on the website and they can't find what they're looking for, and then maybe they do find it and they see that product detail page, and they have to actually go to the manufacturer product detail page to actually confirm that this is the item that they need to purchase, then they've just said to themselves, I've wasted a lot of time on this website that my vendor uses, and I'm just simply not going to do that anymore. And so we wonder why e-commerce adoption is such a big issue in our industry. So today I want to talk through 4 reasons why your B2B e-commerce catalog sucks and what you can do about it. Number 1, and these are not in order of impact or importance, right? But these are just what I see as being some of the most common issues. But number 1 is I see distributors over relying on aggregator product data. This is product data, product information that is collected by usually an industry specific product aggregator. And what is an aggregator? I guess we need to define terms. An aggregator is a third party who is sort of an intermediary between manufacturers and distributors. And they provide a service in which a manufacturer will upload their catalog or their products feed, and they'll collect that feed. And then what they'll do is they'll organize that content and make it available to distributors who can then access that product information so that they can then in turn take it back and use it in their systems. And it's usually a subscription service, usually doesn't cost the manufacturers anything. to use this service, or if it does, it is minimal, very minimal investment. The reason why is because the aggregators want to grow their total catalog as big and as broad as they possibly can so that it will be more attractive to distributors and make that solution sort of the easy button in terms of e-commerce setup, e-commerce enablement. And I will say that I didn't come here to smash the aggregators. There are a lot of good companies that provide this service, and there is some value to what they do. But there's a problem, right? There's always a give and take, right? And the axiom is true for what I'm going to say, in that you get what you pay for, right? So if the easy button is I'm going to access a master catalog distributed by an aggregator, I'm going to get what I pay for. And so what I am getting is a lot of times missing attributes, bad product images, missing enriched media, conflicting specifications, inconsistent descriptions, and duplicate SKUs. And what this does is, it actually, on the surface, it seems like a really good value proposition. I'm able to quickly gather this product information, but it's actually not so fast when you think about what you're trading off. So, actually, what happens is that I have to take this product information out of the aggregator's catalog, and now it's going to sit in a backlog because I'm going to have to normalize that product information so that it works in my unique catalog standards, my unique taxonomy schema, and consistency standards. Otherwise, you are going to be filling a website with a bunch of garbage. None of it's going to make sense. None of it's going to be consistent. And this is a real problem, because at the end of the day, your customers will quickly lose trust in what they see on the product pages, right? And if your customers don't trust the information that they see, they're certainly not going to add to cart or add to quote. And your catalog actually becomes a confidence problem. That's bad for business, and that's bad for the brand. Now, I'm not saying that product information from an aggregator can't be useful as a starting point, because it can. It's actually a very good place for you to gather product details quickly, but it can't stop there. The best distributors in e-commerce, and I know because I work with them, they will take that raw source data and they will then run it through a clean room, a washing program, which is, of course, a big part of what we do. And they will run it through this washing program in a very clean, fast, organized process. That data will then go actually out, get enriched using rich manufacturer details. It will then get normalized into their unique standardization model, their unique input uh, structure. And then they'll be able to run that through an approval process. It'll get, priced, and it will get placed where it needs to go on their digital channels. That's the correct way of doing it. But most distributors, apart from like the big guys and the ones that we serve, simply just don't have the resources to do this. And that actually leads to reason number two, which is most distributors have no product data governance. Okay. There is no structured product model, there's no golden record. So, what do I mean by that? There's no taxonomy, and this is how you organize your product categories. Multiple levels down, could be two, three, four, five levels inside of a category, and subcategories. And then the attribute standards, the schema involved in creating those categories. In other words, how am I going to allow a customer to filter and search for a product using attributes? So that could be size, material, weight, in a variety of different attributes that may be specific to that product category. So those are category rules. Those are schema, taxonomy. This is like building a warehouse in which your products will be stored. You cannot just throw a bunch of boxes and pallets inside of a room and call it a warehouse. That is complete inefficiency. It's a complete mess. But yet, that's how a lot of distributors sort of treat their e-commerce catalog. And without governance, right, every supplier feed that you onboard, every new product introduction really becomes chaotic, right? Because two vendors are going to describe the same attribute in five different ways. Think about this: voltage, voltage rating, volts, right? Operating voltage, rated voltage. Uh, and it goes on and on. We've seen it all. And this sometimes gets just loaded without going through that cleansing process. And what happens is when a customer experiences your digital catalog, they'll see filters on the left-hand side of the page, and those filters will be a bunch of different duplicates, right? And sometimes there'll be attributes that have no value, right? So why would you have an attribute that actually doesn't have a product associated with it? That kind of inconsistency really will turn off a industrial buyer, and they don't know if they can trust the website. They can't easily find what they're looking for, and then we wonder why adoption stalls. All right. So enough said about that. Let's talk about reason number three. And that is that you don't have a system for catalog management or data management. Most organizations that I come across are usually managing their product data inside of spreadsheets or ERP systems or e-commerce platforms. But none of these tools were actually designed to handle how product data needs to flow through the supply chain. Now, it's important to think about product data as not a static asset, but as a living organism, and it has a life cycle, right? Just like any living organism, it has multiple parts that are involved in terms of bringing it to life on a digital channel. So there's data ingestion, right? How do you get the product data into a system? There is normalization, right? How do I map that raw data, whether it's from an aggregator or from a manufacturer product data feed, or from just scraping? How do I take that raw data and place it inside of my governance standards that I've already created? Okay, and then there's enrichment. I need to think about how do I prioritize part numbers, best sellers, items that I want to move, and enrich those items so that I can improve my traffic and my conversion and ultimately grow sales. And then there's the publishing and management of the data, right? So data has to go through a process in order to not just get it to the point where I would say it's digital shelf ready, but then it has to be priced and it has to be placed. Where does it go? Right? Which category does it go in? How do I organize that product inside of that category? Different suppliers may get priority over others. Different products may get priority over others based on historical sales or customer buying behavior, or maybe just products that you want to get out of the warehouse. All of that is really controlled inside of a product information system. And without that, right, catalog quality will continue to be a mess. And frankly, it just will never scale. All right. And reason number four, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people think about. You may realize that your process is bad. You may realize you don't have the right standards or governance or taxonomy. You may realize you don't have a PIM or true data management system in place. But this is something that I think it's a real problem. And it actually follows after, it's a consequence of those other pieces not being in place. And that is your catalog is too small. I see this all the time. This is a hidden problem. But think about this, and you may not realize this, but many companies only publish between like 10 and 20% of the products that they actually sell. That's crazy, right? So you're hiding 70, 80, 90% of the products that you could be selling to your customers. They have no clue. And, so does your sales team, right? Like they have no idea of what you could be offering to your customers. This is a common problem in business. A lot of times our customers just frankly don't know what we sell. And this is really because managing product data is simply too painful. It's hard enough to get your best sellers to a place where you can confidently drive e-commerce adoption and sales. So, but that's just not going to cut it, right? If we want to get serious and drive significant growth and operational efficiencies in our catalog, because customers really want, right? They want full assortments, right? They want compatible parts. They want accessories. They want to be able to know, what are my alternates? What are my substitutes? The big boys do this so well, right? I love it. I sometimes will search for a part number on one of our high performing distributor websites. And these masters of e-commerce have got it figured out, right? I type in a product number, a manufacturer number, and it doesn't even say no results found. Like if their product doesn't exist in their platform, it doesn't say no results found. It will automatically redirect me to a substitute or alternate option. That's powerful. That keeps people on the site. That increases sales, no doubt about it. But long tail inventory is so important, right? Whether these are items that are actually in the warehouse that are not on the website, shame on us for not doing that, or whether these are products that are available through our supply chain for drop ship, or real time delivery. But that long tail is so important because it drives cross sell, it drives upsell, it creates larger quotes, larger baskets. Guys, if it's not in the catalog, the revenue never happens. Your digital channel is hamstringed. It becomes artificially and unfortunately limited. All right. So the diagnosis is pretty grim, but there's some things we can do to help us move in the right direction. Let's talk about that. So I like to always do this, the reframing concept, right? So in other words, I want you to start thinking about something differently. So stop thinking about e-commerce as a website project because it's not. This isn't something that is one and done. I've talked about this before, but in the print catalog world where I started my career for distribution, it was a project. There is a start date, there's a product selection, there's a design process, there's an approval process, and you print and distribute. Boom, done. Don't touch it until next year. In the e-commerce game, it's totally different, right? This is about consistent management, consistent growth process that allows you to not only grow that catalog, but continually improve it, optimize it. That's what e-commerce sales looks like. Stop thinking of it as a project. Start thinking of it as a data infrastructure process. The catalog is the foundation of all. The catalog is everything. I cannot tell you how many times I've been to a distributor website and searched for something and got a no results page. It happens all the time. What do you think that does to a customer experience? Product pages don't deliver confidence, conversion fails, adoption falls apart. Adoption fails. And you never get the ROI from any of this. And if you're an executive listening to this, pay close attention. This is not optional. This is critical. This should be one of your top 3 strategic initiatives for the year. How do I not only put together a great e-commerce experience for my customers, but how do I get the return on a substantial investment? Strong commerce experiences always start with structured product data. If you came to me and you said you wanted to build a new e-commerce website, I would stop you in your tracks and I would start asking questions about your catalog. Where do you get your product data? How are you normalizing it? How do you enrich it? How do you manage it? How do you publish it? What are the systems involved in doing that? Once we solve that, then we talk about platforms. Then we talk about customer experience. All right, takeaway number 2, redirecting our attention. If you want to fix your catalog, you need to start with data governance. Define what is our product taxonomy? What is our attribute schema? What are our data standards? What kind of validation and consistency rules do we have to create a unique distributor product catalog, right? Not something that is based on aggregator data that every other small distributor, mom and pop out there has. That doesn't help you stand apart. If you want to play with the big boys, you've got to get serious about how you organize your data and the processes that are involved in continually managing that data. This will create a structure where data from any source can be normalized and enriched and published and consistently grows the catalog. Without governance, frankly, no technology will save you. Again, if you came to me and you said, I want to implement a PIM, I would start with data governance. Do you have these things? If not, this is where we start. We do not implement a PIM or MDM solution without first going deep into the data governance model that you currently have. How is the data structured? Is it PIM or MDM ready? Without governance, your catalog becomes unstable and frankly, unscalable. Finally, takeaway number 3 is to restrain the shortcut. I understand it looks like the easy button. Hey, I had to readjust my view. 20 years ago, I was a catalog data aggregator. Why was that attractive back then? Well, that's because e-commerce sales really were irrelevant to most distributors. So we could get away with creating a master catalog and then offering the product data to a bunch of different distributors so that they could at least have a competitive online catalog. But that's no longer going to cut it today. And yet we still embrace this aggregator model in the industry. And it really is just that I said. It is a shortcut. Many companies are trying to solve the problems with product data by using these quick fixes, by importing more aggregator feeds, by having multiple aggregators covering different areas of our catalog, hiring contractors, sometimes offshore contractors to clean up spreadsheets. That creates so much frustration. That creates a lot of rework and wasted time. Patching data inside of an e-commerce platform rather than using a product information system. Guys, these approaches won't scale. The product data is strategic. If product data is strategic, you will need a proper PIM or MDM. You will need data workflows. You will need an ongoing enrichment process. This is infrastructure, and infrastructure that really creates what we call frictionless commerce. So I'll just wrap up the episode with a closing thought. And that is, most companies want to skip ahead to front end experiences, skip ahead by taking shortcuts, but there is no shortcut to excellence. There is no shortcut to success. If you want e-commerce in your distribution business to work and to work on a level that sets you apart from your competition, that empowers your sales team, that creates trust and adoption from your customer base, then you have to start with the foundation. You need to think about owning your product data with clean and clear governance standards, taxonomy, schema, a process for ingesting, normalizing, and enriching product data and managing that data in an ongoing basis so that you create a data catalog factory. That factory will fuel your e-commerce experience. Once you've set the foundation and have an engine in place that continually builds high quality catalog data, now work on the customer experience. Now think about the UI, right? Think about how you're going to create the best possible experience for your customers. But that comes after you've laid the data foundation, not before. You only have so many resources and you only have so much time. So get clear about your priorities, right? You cannot do everything. That's not what's required. It's about doing the right thing in the right order. If you need help building this data foundation, reach out. I'm always excited to see your LinkedIn connection requests. DM me and ask me about data governance and taxonomy, a golden record to build your e-commerce platform on. One other thing that I would say is that if you find this Frictionless Commerce podcast helpful, share it with a colleague, like and subscribe here on either YouTube or iTunes or Spotify. This has been fun. I hope it was helpful. And I hope you can see my passion. And I hope you realize that that means it's real. It's true. Let's do something about it. And I'll see you on the next episode.